And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our Superintendent, Dr. David Cash.
Well, hey, good morning, everybody. For good luck today, I have a message in a bottle from one of our administrators. So during my Grill the Superintendent session, if anyone grills me, I got my flame retardant vest on. If I get grilled too hard and you see me sticking my hand in my pocket, it's just that I'm answer. I hope you had a great summer with your family and your friends, and you're able to get off to some exotic location. And if not, it's tough to beat Santa Barbara for a staycation. This morning we're welcoming over 70 new certificated staff into our district. And we're talking about teachers, counselors, psychologists, speech and language specialists, new assistant principals, new special education program coordinators, preschool coordinator, and a community resource coordinator, over 70 new certificated staff. And I can say to everyone, let's get ready for an incredible year. And I want to talk a little bit about that this morning before we get started. We have a convergence of two incredible events happening simultaneously in education. It's unlike any time in the history of our state. The state has revised its way it's going to allocate our meager revenue through the local control funding formula, and that represents the most significant change, even more significant than Prop 13, since 1850 for the state of California. And you tag that with the implementation of the Common Core state standards, and I have to say, wow, it is exciting times to be a public educator in California. You know, our theory of action in Santa Barbara has been the same for the past 2 years. If we're successful on focusing on learning, stimulating curiosity in ourselves and in our students, and if we work together as colleagues in professional learning communities, student learning outcomes will improve all throughout our district. And this past June, for those of you that I had the opportunity to speak to in our professional learning days, I told you that I believed it was up to us to give every child every chance every day. And that's not just a trite saying. That is something that I believe is in the heart of everyone that sits in this room. And no one, and I repeat, no one else gets to do that. It's us, the people in this room, that have the obligation, the responsibility, and I believe the opportunity to change our community through our K-12 education. It's us. Me, you, and your colleagues. That's awesome. That is incredible. Our work has to be about children. It can't be about us, the adults. It always has to be about the kids in our schools. And our focus is on the classroom. How can we continue to support student learning and the great teaching that occurs throughout our district? When I say every child, I mean every single child in our district. Not just the ones that you like, not just the ones that look like you, not just the ones that learn like you, but every single child. And I would have to ask that we work hard this year to ensure that no student is anonymous in our schools, in who they are or what they need. You ask any child what matters most to them about school, we'll have some that'll tell you, I really dig the quadratic equation. We'll have some that will tell you, no, Shakespeare really turns me on. But the bottom line for every kid, year after year after year, is being in a class with a teacher who knows who they are and likes them, has a relationship with them. Nothing matters more to our students than knowing they are not anonymous in our classrooms. So I'd ask, what strategies are you going to have in place this year to ensure no student is anonymous in your classroom and in our schools? And I would also ask, let's make those strategies intentional and not just we hope that kids will go through the year not being anonymous. It's every child, every chance, and there's obvious constraints to every chance, both human and material. No one can work 24 hours a day, though, boy, there are times when I think some of you do that. And there is no way that the state is going to, tomorrow, next week, next month, say, hey, you know, Santa Barbara, it's a pretty cool place. Here's an extra $100 million for you to educate those kids down there. It's just not going to happen. So we have obvious constraints in every chance. But I would ask ourselves, in the academic area, let's work hard to differentiate instruction for our kids. We know we need to meet them where they are, at grade level, above grade level, below grade level. For all of our special need kids, for our English learner students, let's give them every chance to be successful. And in the social emotional area, I'm so excited about the work that Santa Barbara Junior High School did this past year. I want to give a big shout out to their staff and their community for implementing restorative approaches and allowing us to think that we could move that on to the rest of our junior highs in Santa Barbara High School. Great job, Santa Barbara Junior High School. I think probably of every process we engage in, that might have the most power for us in changing our students' experiences at school. It's every child, every chance, every day. And I tell people that if you don't roll out of bed every morning determined to make a difference in the lives of the children that you will meet in your classrooms, in our schools, then you should just go right back to bed. You know, I tell everybody this is not a job, being an educator. It's much more than that. We, as I said, have the opportunity, the obligation, the responsibility for educating all the students in our community. There's no days off in education. You all know our students learn a lot more about us and what they watch us do as opposed to what we tell them. So I would say again, let's be intentional in how we act, how we relate to our kids, and what we do each and every day. As I shared with you also this past June, we're about to implement the Common Core, and we've created our 4-quarter plan. And I'll apologize up front because that name came from 3 guys who previously had football experience. And so it was the easiest way for us to remember how we would look at implementing what I think is probably one of the most revolutionary changes in the history of American education, the Common Core state standards. 4 quarters. First quarter, for those of you that don't recall, never heard it, don't remember, is to know the content standards. And our outcome there is we want teachers to develop units and lessons of study based in the Common Core. The second quarter is we're going to assess our instructional materials. We've developed what we think is a pretty good draft of a cultural proficiency template. We need all of our materials, our lessons, our units, to be culturally proficient, to ensure that no student in our class doesn't see themselves in the instructional materials that we're providing or understand the opportunities that they will have as a result of learning the content that you are teaching. The third quarter, we're going to work on instructional strategies, pedagogy. As I stated earlier, we need to work on continuing to understand how to differentiate instruction, perhaps one of the more important tasks we'll undertake. We also need to know how to ensure that our lessons are grade level rigorous. Don't want to be in a 10th grade English class and see the assignment be students coloring the cover of the book they just read. I don't believe that's a 10th grade English rigor. And we want our students to utilize 21st century skills in the lessons that you design. We want them to think critically. We want them to collaborate. We want them to communicate what they know and what they can do to each other and the world around them. And in the last quarter, the fourth quarter, we're going to work on assessment. We need to create and maintain a technology infrastructure. And I think we've got a good start on that. But everybody, we all need to take a deep breath on technology infrastructure. No matter how hard we work, no matter how many people we hire, no matter how much money we spend, technology will still screw up There is no doubt about that. If I could have $10 for every time I've called DirecTV, I wouldn't be standing here. I'd retire. We need to be flexible and understand that that is the reality regarding the infrastructure for technology. Another outcome is we need to create learning and technology learning environments in our classrooms. Our kids do not see this as a tool. This is not replacing a textbook, a pencil. They're using it within which to learn. And I would say, like I said in June to all of us, we can't let our own limitations in understanding technology get in the way of the opportunities for our students in the 21st century. And the last thing that we need to do in our fourth quarter is we need to look at our assessment practices. Isn't it time we had a new report card for our elementary schools? Man. You know, I got to tell you, I was scared to even say that out loud the last 2 years because I knew how true it was. And by saying it out loud, I'm committing myself and our district to re-examining an archaic reporting system and providing our teachers, our parents, and importantly our students with an opportunity to understand how they're doing, when they're doing it, and what they need to do to improve. We also need to develop formative assessments as well throughout our district. And we're fortunate. We think we've found a tool that will help us do that, and there'll be more about that as we move into the fourth quarter. Our vehicle for Common Core implementation is very straightforward. It's professional learning communities. That is not a program. It is a process by which teachers collaborate and communicate regarding students and teaching and learning in their class. And I want to promise you this. I'm going to say it a couple of times. We will go slow in order to be strong in implementing professional learning communities. For 2013-14, our PLCs are going to work on one question and one question only. What is it we want our students to learn? Essentially quarters 1 and 2 of our 4-quarter plan. There are other important questions that PLCs ask. How will we know if each student is learning each of the standards? What are we going to do when they don't learn any of the standards? And then what do we do for kids that already know it? How do we enrich and extend their learning? We will work on those questions starting in 14-15. Again, we're going to go slow to be strong in implementing PLCs. We will only be working on one question. What is it we want our students to learn? And that will be we will help determine that through the design and implementation of the Common Core lessons and units. Our district has one non-negotiable goal: improving student outcomes. And as a district, we're going to be tight on these 3 things throughout this year and the years to come. Implementing the Common Core through the 4-quarter plan, cultural proficiency, including restorative approaches, and technology learning environments. Again, we cannot let our own limitations in technology limit the opportunities for our students in the 21st century. Again, I want to be very clear. For next year, we're going to go slow in order that we can implement it strong. We'll only be focusing on one question. What is it we want our students to know? Our focus will be on 21st century standards, the Common Core, and not on the California standards. I'm not going to talk at all about the California standards tests. I don't believe a narrow, mile-long, inch-deep approach to learning and assessment represents anything good in education. We're going to work toward the creation of a system of K-12 education where the islands of excellence throughout our district are connected into a system of excellence, where the structure of school is collaborative, where no one works in isolation. Our goal is to provide students with a guaranteed curriculum, that all students learn it regardless of what class they're in. We need to have a balanced assessment that includes formative assessments designed to improve instruction and summative assessments designed to communicate the results of student learning at specific periods of time. In a coherent system, teachers, principals, and district staff are not viewed as the cause of problems, but instead are viewed as the ultimate solution of problems, because it's through the professional learning communities we'll build individual capacity to learn, grow, change, and collective capacity beyond our wildest dreams to improve student learning outcomes. We, in this room, are the system. It's not something separate from each of us. The system doesn't reside at 720 Santa Barbara Street, and it doesn't reside in Sacramento. We are the system. All of us should strive each and every day to be as good as we can during our own individual learning and our collaborative work, understanding that everyone, all of us, everyone in this room must make a positive contribution to improving our system. After all, it's you, it's me, it's us, it's our system. Right now, I believe we're only limited by what we can't imagine. If we focus on the new standards, I believe we can be creative, we can be inspiring, and we can be connected to each other across grade levels and across disciplines. And we can, importantly, re-engage in our work, and even more importantly, re-engage our students. As I said, I cannot imagine a more exciting time in public education. Remember, our work is always about the students. So, let's forget about always coloring within the lines. Let's forget about teachers' editions. Let's eliminate the scripted lesson as the template for instruction. Let's not focus on covering the material. Let's not be stuck in 55 or 110-minute units of instruction. Instead, I'm going to challenge all of us right now to begin thinking way outside the box, to learn from each other, believe in each other, focus on the standards, not the textbook. Engage students in solving problems that we give them, but even more importantly, encourage students to create problems that they're interested in, and then give them the time to solve those problems. Like I said, it is an incredible time to be an educator. We're not going to be perfect in this. We're going to make lots and lots of mistakes. And in fact, if we don't make mistakes, I'm going to believe we didn't take advantage of this opportunity. So I'm going to ask you to do what my grandmother, Lakota Sioux, would ask me to do. And that is, if we can walk together as a system for this year, this coming year, and the years to come, I believe we will learn together. And I can honestly say I can think of no better group of educators I'd rather walk with than those of you in this room. So let's have a great year. Let's take advantage of what's right in front of us right now and do the best that we can for our kids. Have fun today, and I can't wait to see you in your schools. Thank you very much. All right. See you in your classrooms.